first guest today is Laurie Schwartz, president of Waterfront Partnership of Baltimore, Inc. Waterfront Partnership strives to create and manage a world-class destination at Baltimore's waterfront while inspiring a cleaner, greener future with Baltimore's neighborhoods, streams, and harbor. Please welcome Laurie Schwartz. Hello, Laurie. How are you?
It's great to be here, Mark.
You know, Laurie, years ago when I went to South Africa, they have the same inner harbor that we have here in Baltimore, and that blew me away.
I'll bet they modeled it after our inner harbor.
Exactly.
You know, and Mayor Schaefer helped lead the redevelopment of the inner harbor. We were the first in the world and a real model.
And I'm sure they did, and I think that just adding on to already the charming qualities of Baltimore, it must be exciting to be a part of the whole waterfront.
It's a real thrill.
So tell what's going on? What do we need to look forward to?
Well, there's lots of good things going on around the waterfront and at the inner harbor. In the inner harbor, Harbor Place is being renovated, and there'll be some new shops opening up in the next couple of months. There is a brand new high-end rental residential tower going up, one of the highest buildings in downtown Baltimore, going up right across Light Street from Harbor Place. It's going to bring new residents to the area, which is so exciting to have people living downtown.
Yes.
And we will be renovating along with the city. We're taking the lead, but working very closely with city government. We're going to be renovating Rash Field into a park. So it's really going to become a great recreational resource for all families in the city, which is who we aim to serve. We're happy to have the tourists. Our economy depends on tourists, a lot of jobs,
gotta have the tourists.
taxes that the tourists pay. But we want the inner harbor to be a place for residents, and so all of our activities are really geared toward making it a place that has a clean environment, a safe environment, a beautiful place, and lots of things for people to do for free or at very low cost.
And I think in the area, it's interesting, you know, you look at Virginia and you look at DC and you look at the different areas, I always feel like our harbor is just much more, it's authentic, it's real. It's, you know, it's kind of like the jewel. And you go to the different places in Rockville, they're building up these areas, and they always seem kind of fake compared to our waterfront.
I agree. I think suburban areas, you know, try to recreate what we have naturally, which is a beautiful body of water. Our harbor has been the center of Baltimore's economy since the very beginning when Baltimore was incorporated and we had clipper ships. And when ships were being made at the harbor, when there were canning factories for oysters and all kinds of seafood at the harbor. The inner harbor's always been the center of our economy, and so it's just natural that it's still a draw for Baltimoreans and for tourists.
What are the challenges that you face? You know, I know that we always talk about, you know, people always look at the water, especially what you can see, and, you know, what are some of the just normal things you face?
Right. Well, we do aim to clean the harbor, the water. Mr. Trash Wheel is owned by us, we're proud to say, as is Professor Trash Wheel.
Both
Are owned by us, and we serve as the voice for Mr. Trash Wheel. He comments on lots of things and has a bigger following than I think all of us put together in Baltimore. He's very well known. And but he really helps not only remove trash from the inner harbor, and that trash comes down from areas in Baltimore County as well as the city. Things that are dropped on the ground when it rains, they just wash right into the streams and into the Jones Falls and come right down into the harbor. So the water wheel collects all of that trash and keeps it out of the larger harbor and out of the bay. But probably more importantly, it's a source of education. It catches people's eye, and they've heard about Mr. Trash Wheel. Many kids have come to visit for school field trips, and families have visited it because of the googly eyes. It makes it fun. And so it's a real point of education for us to let people know about the sources of pollution, trash pollution in the area. Right now we're working with City Council and other environmental groups to try and ban polystyrene from city businesses, trying to ban it from being used because it doesn't break down. It stays in our environment forever, unlike most natural products. And so we were able to show through the numbers that we collect through the water wheel, since we put the water wheel in the water, over 700,000 polystyrene containers have been removed from the water. That's a lot that would be floating out in the water if not the water wheel. We ought to ban that altogether. There are substitute products that are just as good.
That's amazing.
Yep.
You mentioned that obviously tourism is huge for us, but you want to have our local numbers come up.
Yep.
And you said the park at Rash Field. What are other ways that you can lure people,
Right.
you know, to, because I guess a lot of times in most cities, the area, the tourist area, a lot of times the locals say, well, I'm going to stay away.
Exactly.
You know, that might be even a challenge. How do you bring us down
It
there?
is a challenge, but part of it, I think, is creating free activities that families throughout the city can enjoy, because they're not going to come down and buy a meal every time. They're not always going to visit an attraction that might cost money. But we're finding the families do want to come down to walk along the water and watch the beautiful water and the sunset and watch the boats going in and out. But what we do to attract families are things like the ice skating rink. That's a great family activity. In the winter, it's very low cost. We do have to charge something because we have to pay an operator, a professional operator, to run it. But we charge the minimal amount. We don't make any money off the rink. We just do it because we want to serve local families and give them a fun activity. You know, you don't see grumpy people on an ice rink. People are happy even when they're falling. So we love to offer the ice rink every winter, and it's become a great tradition. We also host all kinds of events throughout the year. Harbor Harvest is my favorite, and that's in the fall. We call it bringing the country to the city. And we have pony rides and a petting zoo and a hay maze and pumpkin decorating, all kinds of things that people may not have access to on their own. Can't always go for a pony ride.
No, not
but
in Baltimore.
we can provide it down at the Inner Harbor, and it's just so exciting to see little kids shrieking and screaming and giggling and having fun.
We're going to take a break. We're talking with Laurie Schwartz, president of Waterfront Partnership of Baltimore. We'll be back on Game Changers. And welcome back to Game Changers. We're talking with Laurie Schwartz, president of Waterfront Partnership of Baltimore. We're talking about all the great things going down at the waterfront, but let's flesh out the Rash Field activities. What's going on?
Well, Rash Field has been a site that has been underutilized for many years. Beach volleyball happens there, which is great. There are lots of people playing beach volleyball, but that's about it. Otherwise, it's kind of a muddy field that just sits there. And so years ago, we decided it was time to turn it into a real asset for Baltimore. And working with the mayor's office and planning department, Rec and Parks and BDC, they agreed that we should take the lead because we had the most interest and we were willing to spend the time to hire a design firm. We did an RFP. Mahan Reichel was selected out of 14 firms, and the plans are just spectacular. I'll go through them in a second, but when we presented the plans to the city's design panel, UDARP, one of the panelists said, this is going to be on the caliber of Millennium Park in Chicago and the High Line in New York. So that really told us that we had a special plan for Baltimore. So the plan is to have a number of children's type activities closest to the Science Center. So we'll have a kinetic park that focuses on movement and play, and we'll have some education around that for children as well. A nature park, children's nature park, where we're working with Audubon Society to come up with lesson plans for kids where they'll be able to learn through a sensory garden, through smell and touch and sight, obviously, and also learn how to build a backyard bird feeder. And so lots of fun things that'll engage kids, not just for play, but some education in there too. We'll have a small skate park, which has been very popular. We've had a number of fundraisers around the skate park, and we had one that we just charged $10 for, and it sold out at 500 people. It was incredible. Wow. There'll be a concession and a new building in the center of the site called the Pavilion, which will be a beautiful glassy building that'll have some food offerings inside and lots of tables outside so you can just sit and watch the harbor or watch your kids play at the nature park. We're keeping the beach volleyball, which is very popular, but it'll be tiered differently and it'll look a little different and a little spiffied up and spiffed up, I guess. And then a lawn where we can have special events, movies, concerts, or even 2 middle school age soccer games happening at the same time, which again is a way that we think we can attract more citywide families by having kids games like soccer.
When's that completion date?
Well, it hasn't started yet, so it'll break ground in 2019, about a year from now, and it'll be
making
completed.
plans.
Yep, it'll be completed a year from then. So spring or so 2020.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so you were saying that also the activities at the waterfront are also tied to the neighborhoods.
They are. We, as I said, have a real commitment at the harbor to bring citywide residents, and we do that by offering lots of events and building relationships too, where we have so much in common. We care about the cleanliness of the harbor. Neighborhoods care about the cleanliness of their own neighborhoods. Well, there's a real common element there. The trash that stays on streets and neighborhoods ultimately ends up in the harbor if it doesn't get cleaned up. So we have a staff of community organizers that work with neighborhoods who are interested and want to help themselves to organize cleanups. And at the end of that several day or one day, we work with the neighborhood to determine what's best. At the end of that cleanup, we'll have a barbecue, paint a mural, whatever mural of choice that the neighborhood wants. So we do it with the neighborhoods, not for the neighborhoods. They guide it, but we help and facilitate it. So that's one way that we've really established relationships for the benefit of neighborhoods and the harbor.
And Laurie, what's the website we can reach you at?
The website is waterfrontpartnership.org.
Awesome. Thank you for being a guest. We're excited about what's going on at the waterfront and what's there already. Again, Laurie Schwartz, president of Waterfront Partnership of Baltimore. Stay tuned for more Game Changers.